So today's quote of the day from, I think it's Shambhala, that I get these quotes from once a week now, is from the Lojong slogans, the mind trading slogans. Immediately join whatever you meet with meditation. Another translation we've learned this from is whatever you meet unexpectedly, join with meditation. So I think anyone that's a student of Venerable Thupten Chodron has, from day one, no matter whether it's been a few weeks, a few months, a few years, or accumulating years, the thought training teachings are like the underpinning of everything that she shares, whether it's identified as such as not or not. And so as her student, I see, even in people who come for sharing the Dharma Day, this idea of applying our experiences in day-to-day life immediately to what does this teach me about the Dharma? How do I use this in my Dharma practice? Is a way of thinking that's a very kind of useful and beneficial one. So when I heard that my mother had fallen, it's now been a month ago, there was a lot of question about what had actually happened with her injury. It was like, immediately, that's where the mind goes. How do I learn this? How to apply what I've learned, and so forth. And so through the course of the next few days, it became very clear that she would never gain consciousness, and so very clear about what the decisions the family had to do, had to make in order to fulfill my mother's wishes to not be allowed to just vegetate, but to actually remove life supports. And so, to be with my family who's not Buddhist, in this situation, I got a lot of support, both from the thought training teachings from Venerable Chodron online. So afterwards, not during that time, of course, I didn't have time, but I've started to look for, where is the Buddhist support on grieving? And I'll tell you, I haven't found very much. Not that there aren't some good books. I've been reading Roshi Joan Halifax's book on death and dying, which is not specifically on grieving, but it gives a good perspective. But the kind of guidance that says, look at this as a teaching, these are the ways to think about it, haven't really been readily obvious to me. Lama Zopa Rinpoche's advice page is the best. So I was talking to Venerable Chodron about this, and she said, well, let's talk about this for a few days and share experience. So it's not that I have a teachings to give, but some experience on how the thought training that Venerable Chodron has given us, and other teachers too, can be applied in this situation. And it might be helpful for other, particularly Buddhists, looking for how to work with things. So that's what the series, we'll do some talks over the next few days. So some years ago, when I had another major loss in my life, it became very apparent to me that grief is a head-on collision with the four distortions. That's what it's about. So that when we're in pain or when we're suffering, it means that our minds, overwhelmed by our ignorance and our delusions, have come smack up against the very things that the Buddha said is the cause of our suffering. So the four distortions are taught in the Four Noble Truths. And so its first is seeing impermanent things as permanent. Well, duh. Why are we shocked when somebody dies? Why are we shocked when somebody leaves us? Why are we shocked when we're separated from our job? Or all the things that bring on grief. They're unexpected, shocking things because we are grasping things that are completely impermanent, changing just like this, as though they're solid, as though they're fixed. The second one, seeing what is unclean as clean, or what is impure as pure. What is unclean as clean? This refers specifically to the body. So in terms of death, for sure, it's not so much that we're grasping at the body of the loved one and to bring us pleasure like we are, like when we lose our lover. But you are grasping at the idea that this body somehow houses something special. And it should keep working. It's supposed to keep working. So we're grasping at that in the wrong way. Something that absolutely cannot exist in the way that we're perceiving it. The third distortion is we grasp at something that is in the very nature of dukkha to bring happiness. So whatever our relationship is with our loved one, whether it's a difficult relationship with a parent, or a clean relationship with a parent, or a relationship with a longtime spouse, or a relationship with a child, which I think must be just so difficult to deal with, we still have the idea that the happiness, the love, the connection, the stability, the security are in that person. And that without that person, I'm going to be, what? Bereft. And then the fourth one is grabbing at the person itself. The fourth distortion is grasping at things as having a self or an intrinsic nature that they do not have. And so the very basis of grasping, not just at that person as being the source of my happiness, but grasping at that purpose as person, as existing in the way that I have always perceived them at all. And so this is the source of our pain right there. So in looking at this, I'm having so as I said, I recognized this years ago when I was working with grief, and I also have to say that this was the time that I first had to really learn to practice the Dharma, how to apply these teachings to a loss. So I also want to talk about these over the next few days and how important or how precious it is to have an opportunity when something unexpected and tragic, even expected and painful, arises for us. From the Dharma perspective, this is when we most get to learn to practice. In Lama Zopa Rinpoche's first, there's several letters to students. His first advice: I'm sorry to hear about your mother. I have done prayers for her. Your mother has given us a good teaching. She has shown us that the nature of life is impermanence, and death can happen at any time. This is the same teaching on death and impermanence that the Buddha gave when he passed away. So we know, if we've done any Lamrim meditation at all, we sit on our cushion and recite, death is certain, time of death is uncertain, nothing helps the time of death but Dharma. We know that. But when it happens, we're still so shocked. We're still so much in pain. Lama Zopa later says, he quotes Shantideva on that. He says, it's useless to be upset about something that you can't do anything about. And I would say for me, this thing about death is definite has taken on a different dimension now. It's not just that it's certain, that it will definitely happen to every single person. But once it's done, that is it. There's no, I had one more question. There's no, what was she doing up at 3:30 in the morning? How can we ever find that out? We can't. How come she fell like that? We'll never know. Did she feel any pain? We have no idea. We will never know. And I can see how the mind wants to go to that and go, trying to relive it, reenact it. How was it? I went to Venerable Jigme. I said, her head was split open. How is it possible? She hit the floor. Explain to me this. I needed somehow to know how these pieces put together. But the truth is, to go back to, what can we do about this? Nothing. It's done. So to let my mind run into those kinds of questionings, to some extent it's a little bit soothing to get the picture, to get the story straight in my mind. It's because I'm conceptualizing. I'm trying to create meaning where there is none. Trying to create meaning. But I see how easy it would be to let that kind of questioning go on for years. The whole rest of our lives. In fact, I have relatives who have. If I only had. If we had done this, if we had done that. Lama Zopa says really clearly, it is our karma. Nothing more, nothing less. The time of our death comes, whether it's an unexpected, untimely death, whether it's a negative karma ripening, or whether we've lived out our natural lifespan that was, that we brought in with us, determined by our karma for this life. Either way, there's nothing that can be done about that. We can bring about, I think it's easy to think, because if you give the person the right medicine, if you give them the right body work, give them the right thing over the course of our lives, we think you can always get better. We are contributing to the conditions over the course of a lifetime that might improve a situation at any given moment. But when the karma for life runs out, boom, it's over. 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 And there's nothing for us to do but let go. Except breathe into it and then rejoice. He also talks a lot about rejoicing so much in the relationship we already had. This person lived a good long time. My mother was 77 years old. Now, by modern standards, that's not very old. Other people's parents are, close to 90. On the other hand, as I said before, of the 7 women with her name that died this year already, 7 other women, 5 of them were younger than she was when she died. They were 57, 58, 61, 62, and the other one was in her 72, I think. Who am I to complain about my mother only living 77 years? Who am I to try to hang on to, wishing that things even could be different? It's done. So anyway, today, I think that's the place that I really want to stop, because it's the most important moment to sit and think, there's nothing I could have done. There is nothing to do. There's no what if. There's no point in entertaining any of these things. And how do I use the experience of my mother's dying to be of benefit to sentient beings? Well, I practice with it myself. What did I learn? What can I do to create the causes for my own life to be more beneficial? And can I dedicate everything that I learned for her good rebirth, for her good journey? And then, as we'll talk about more tomorrow, can I begin to see that it's not just my mother, it's all our mothers. It's all our mothers since beginningless time. And this is the condition, the very first of these 4 distortions. We hold what is impermanent by nature to be unchanging. And this suffering can be avoided. We don't have to have it. As long as we're sentient beings, we're going to die and be reborn. But we don't have to die sad. We don't have to die hard. And we don't have to let our friends and loved ones die with ourselves being in pain. It takes practice. I'm not saying I'm doing it either. But I can say that what we have been given by meeting the Dharma gives us an opportunity to do that, and it's really precious and different, because so far I haven't found the Lojong book on how to deal with your parents' death. We'll see. I'll keep looking. If anybody knows one, let me know.